What's up, everybody? It's Jason with Tin Soldier Racecars. Today is Motivational Monday, and it's actually International Motivational Monday. So we wanted to give you something a little different, a little special, just because it is International Motivational Monday. And this is a story that's been told a few times, but I don't know if I've ever told it in my perspective, on the YouTube format, stuff like that. But we just wanted to give you a little bit of an insight of how Tin Soldier Racecars came to be, and what the early years look like, to try to motivate you to do your own thing, or whatever that is that's buried in your heart that you want to succeed with, you want to do. Because the world, man, is a place that will kick you, and it will kick you while you're up, and it will kick you while you're down. So try to give you something that's positive, that shows you that really you can do anything. The shop has been a thing officially for about 6 years now. Brad and I started, I think he was 24 and I was 25, so we were pretty young. I individually started building cars in my garage. My dad was a drag racer. That's where we've taken the Tin Soldier name from. All of his cars were named the Tin Soldiers. There's an old song from like the 50s that talks about all the little tin soldiers go out to battle, and then one of them rides away at the end of that battle, which my dad thought that was exactly what drag racing is. We all go to battle, and at the end of the night, only one of us ride away, hopefully with a big pile of money. So anyway, I started just kind of mimicking what my dad did. I really didn't like drag racing that much, to be honest with you. When I really started to like it, when it kind of made it my own for me, was when I got introduced to Heads Up, X275, Ultra Street, stuff like that. Love that. That's kind of what really sparked my interest. So like anybody, I kind of started looking into that, and I built a Turbo LS F-body in my garage. It was a third-gen Camaro. I bought a third-gen Camaro because that's what my dad had. I always thought they were cool. And basically, I hustled parts on Craigslist to pay for that car. I also had some dirt bikes and stuff that I sold. I think the first rendition of my black Camaro that, I don't know, I thought I had a picture of it on the wall. But anyway, that first rendition of it, man, I had less than like $10,000 in it. And that was every dime that I had. My wife and I just got married, stuff like that, so I think I was 21 or 22. I did sheet metal in high school, so I knew how to MIG weld, but I had no idea how to TIG weld. So was building this car, just hobbled together a turbo kit with aluminized piping, stuff like that. And man, this isn't that long ago. Like, this is 10 years ago. I'm welding with a flux core, Harbor Freight welder, things like that. Oh, Brad's in here now. You can jump on in, bud. But I weld with like a flux core, Harbor Freight welder, like all cheap tools. I have nothing, man, and just kind of figuring it out as I go. Actually, at the time, I was friends with Jaybird. Jaybird actually went and helped me buy this car that was a shell, which is pretty cool. He's been there with me since the beginning. Helped me take it apart, all that stuff. But anyway, man, knew nothing. This turbo kit was incredibly rough. It was horrible. My buddy Darren was also over there helping me, and like, dude, it was bad. The only thing that saved it was that I wrapped it with heat wrap, just to hide how unbelievably terrible this thing was. And then what kind of happened was Jay and my friend Spanky had a buddy. His name was Tyler. Tyler was a super good TIG welder. And I had bought this crappy cage kit. I don't remember where I bought it from, but it was like 134 wall, with a seam in it. Just terrible fitting cage kit. Bought that. And then I needed someone to help me put it in, because all I could do was MIG weld, and I knew I didn't really want it MIG welded in. So Tyler would come over, and he helped me put this cage in, and I paid him in beer. That's no lie, I paid Tyler in beer. Like, it was like a case of beer. And then at the end, he couldn't keep welding on it because he was a case of beer in. But anyway, he was the one that helped me, and I would sit there and I'd watch him I'd watch him TIG weld, and I thought it was the most amazing thing. I was totally enamored by it. I loved it. And like I said, at this point, I'm like 21, 22. My wife and I had just got married. Really had no idea what the hell I was going to do with my life. And I think a lot of people are at that age. I was doing a lot of different things. But anyway, really no idea. But I loved watching Tyler TIG weld. So kind of got through that. And then we ended up, like one little snippet, like every once in a while you might see me or Jay. There's a couple other people that have them. They have it's a Tin Soldier Garage t-shirt. So it looks different. It's the same font as this, but it says garage underneath of it. And it says like, I think like engine building, fabrication, and detailing, which is kind of significant. And this is why. So we kind of had talked to Tyler, like maybe about like bringing Tyler, like doing something with Tyler, which would be, he could weld, do stuff like that. My dad, at that point he had already kind of retired. He had talked about maybe like wanting to, assemble engines on the side or something. He thought that would be fun. And then Jaybird, at the time, was doing detail work. So we thought, well, maybe we could, and this was just this half-hearted dream, right? Of like, maybe Dad could build some engines and, we could do a little fab work, and then, Jaybird could detail cars. So, like anybody with a half-hearted dream, you have a t-shirt made. So those shirts are still out there, and I will never throw away that shirt because it reminds me of where we came from. But anyway, I had a friend, and I don't know if he'll watch this or not, but I remember it so vividly. Where it said custom fabrication on the shirt, he read that. He's like, who the hell is going to do the custom fab work? And I was like, well, I'll do it. And he's like, you have no idea what you're doing. And a lot of times, like, you have dreams and things that you want to do, and a lot of times the people that are closest to you are the ones that try to extinguish them. Whether they are, come from a place of love, just like, hey, man, you need to get grounded a little bit, or really just coming from a place of whatever. And, man, I just remember that, like, dude, I'll show you, like, I'll figure this out. And not long after that, I ended up going to welding school, just a local community college. I just went for TIG welding. And that's all I went for was TIG welding. And I told my teacher, I was super honest with him. I was like, man, I just want to come here and learn to TIG weld. That's it. I just want to TIG weld on race car parts. And he was actually a car guy also. So he's like, man, you can do that as long as you're ahead in class. I'll let you do kind of whatever you want, man. Like, so I ended up like welding turbo kits up at school, all kinds of craziness. But I was bound and determined to figure this out on my own and I could always remember my buddy kind of saying like, well, who's going to do that? And I kind of want to, speed this up just for quickness to keep your attention. But I went to welding school, ended up getting a job offer before I left. And of course I wasn't welding race car parts. I was just, being an industrial welder. And that's a job that I ended up leaving, to start the shop with Brad. But through all that, I like I said, I always remember my buddy telling me that. And I got a lot better at welding. In the welding school, dude, like I would literally go there. I would cut as much metal as they would let me cut. And I would stay in that booth longer than anybody. They would literally have to kick me out of school at the end of the night. I forget what I paid for that class. Like the first class was like $900. I think the second was $900. But now knowing what I know, like I burned up way more metal than $900 worth. Like I was just, dude, like I said, they had to kick me out. But anyway, that little comment always fueled me. And then, time happens. I'm still welding stuff in my garage, like race car stuff, just in my little 2-car garage at the house. And then I had some opportunities to work for like a local speed shop and some other stuff. But anyway, the biggest turning point was when I met Brad. Brad worked at another little shop doing, it was kind of a catch-all deal, man. They did like I don't know, they did like some fab work, some normal cars, some race car stuff, some turbo stuff. Just they were kind of all over the place. But the way that I met Brad is really significant. Is Brad was a super good fabricator. I knew that. I didn't know Brad, but I saw pictures of stuff that he built. Like, I was always super impressed. And I've always been a way better welder than I am a fabricator, and that still holds true to this day. So Brad actually messaged me and had a welding question. So I helped him with the welding stuff, and then actually where he was working at was not far from where I worked at. So I ended up going and meeting Brad and just helping him with the weld stuff, and then we just became buddies, man. Like, just kind of hung out, and I would go to his shop before I went to my regular job, all that stuff, and we created a relationship. And I knew when I saw Brad, like, I've audibly heard God tell me that I was going to go into business with this person. And I'm like, well, that's the stupidest thing that I've heard today. So anyway, a couple months go by, and then I end up telling Brad that I felt like we should do this business deal together. And if I welded the cars and he built the cars, we could be one of the best in the country. And he said he felt the same way. And we kind of went down this journey. Now, like I said, there's a bunch of stuff that has to do with my wife and getting all this together. But anyway, I kind of want to skip through that just to get to this other part to encourage you. Anytime you decide you want to do something, there's going to be roadblocks in the way. And you have to choose whether you want to go through that roadblock, or if you just want to turn around. And anything worth doing, you have to bust through the roadblocks. It's just part of it. So for us, we had to find a space to be able to do this business with literally no money. And like a lot of times people think to start a business, you have to have, investors, you have to have all this money in the bank, you have to have all these things, which that sounds great. But really, you don't need any of that. And honestly, I would say it's better to not have that, just do it simply, and just keep building it with sweat equity. So again, we had to find this space, but in the meantime, there was a job that came up, and they had actually contacted me about doing a cage in this car. It was a road race car, fixing it. So I started on that in my garage, but I had a tubing bender, but it wasn't set up, none of this stuff. I didn't have like the right tools to kind of finish this thing off. So I already had a relationship with Brad, so I was like, can you bend, some of this stuff up and help me install it? So really that was the first, car that we actually did together, and it was in my little 2-car garage. Had to roll my race car down the street to my friend's house just so we had enough room to work on this car. And we got it done, man, and it looked great. The customer was super happy. And what we ended up doing was we took that money from this job, and we found this little place, 609 Spring Street. It's kind of in a bad part of town, and man, it was just like it was like 1,000 square foot with an office in the middle of it that was super inconvenient. The driveway was awful. You could hardly get a truck and trailer. You could not even get a truck and trailer really in there. But anyway, it was within our budget. I think it was like $675 a month, I think. So we ended up taking the money from that the cage that we installed. That paid our first month's rent and security deposit. And then we had like $500 left over. I had a welder. Brad had a welder. Brad had a lift, which was awesome. He already had a tubing bender, and we had a tubing notcher, and then of course we had assorted hand tools. That was really about it. So we took our $500 that we had left, and we went to Harbor Freight, and we bought everything that we thought that we needed to get into the chassis business, and we loaded it in our trucks and took it to the shop, and we were in business. It was so funny when we were moving our stuff in. The landlord's son was the one that we had to communicate for the lease and all this stuff. And I'm telling you, if he would have had anyone else to rent this space to, he would have rented it to him. He did not want to rent it to us. And as we were moving stuff in, my dad was there, and he asked my dad, if these boys can't pay their rent, are you going to cover it for them? Just another like reminder of like nobody thinks that we can do. Well, I shouldn't say nobody, but this guy written it to us. And he thinks we're for sure going to default on the $675 a month. But man, we got in there. We got everything set up as best as we could. And like I said, that was about 6 years ago. And through the grace of God, through a lot of hard work, we've continued to grow this into what you see it today. But we didn't have a loan. We didn't have an air compressor. So my dad gave us this like 25-year-old air compressor that he had in his house. This thing would like randomly get hot and shut down. It wouldn't work. Like, just was a mess. But that's all that we had. And we made it work. So for you, like if you're sitting back and you're looking at something that you want to do or a dream that's in your heart, it is important to share it. But it's important to share it with the right people that will believe in you, people that will really pour water on that dream and be there alongside of you. Like that's something my wife has played such a huge role in, is never letting me personally forget the things that are inside of me that I want to do in life, that and she won't let me back down from them. If I say something, she's there to support me until we reach it. So for you, man, look at the things that are inside your heart that are placed there for you. I truly believe that we were made for a specific purpose only we can live out. Just you. So those things that are in your heart that you may think are crazy yourselves, they were put there for a reason so that you can live out those things. Nobody else can do it. You're the only one. And yeah, is there other fab shops in the world? Absolutely. Is there other people that build race cars? Absolutely. Are there is there another Tin Soldier? There's not. The reason why there's not another one is because this one's ran by Brad and I and our team of people that makes it uniquely us. So you have a calling on your life that's for uniquely you. And we want to see you do it. So we love you. Thanks for watching. Have a great Monday. See ya. All right, Ricky.